This is the Central Florida Computer Society, what we call the main meeting, and monthly for the second Sunday for, I guess, about 10 years. I think the previous 40 years, we were meeting on the third Sunday and had to change due to requirements of one of our meeting places. But we have with us today Rob Truman, who is on the APCUG Speakers Bureau list. He was highly recommended, and he's going to talk to us about considerations that you should take into your decision making if you are planning to get a new computer.
For some of you, this is going to be a serious review. For some others, maybe not so much. We'll kind of, if you have questions, feel free to stop me as we go through this. I'm going to cover a lot. And some you may be able to use, and some you just may say, well, no. So a little bit about myself. I'm not going to read through all this. Highlight, retired Navy chief, worked for Microsoft for quite a while, doing tech support. So let's talk about, we're going to start out with devices. There's a bunch of them. One that I didn't put on here, well, it's kind of probably netbook would fall under the lines of a Chromebook. And then of course the old fat desktops, smartphones, laptops, 2-in-1 laptops. So we're going to talk a little bit about, I give this topic a lot right around Thanksgiving time, you know, when the sales start to hit. That's kind of what's in a laptop. And no, we are not going to go through each and every component in this. But it's always nice to know what you're buying. I've commented to other people, you know, and I say this humorously, I hope, is that there's kind of two types of computer buyers. One is the guy that just loves to know everything about, or the woman that loves to know everything about the inner workings of the device. And then there's the other kind that I classify as a toaster buyer. In other words, when you go out and you buy a toaster, I just want to push a button and I want it to work. I don't care how it makes toast. I just want it to do what I want it to do. So this is a little bit about what I'm going to try and touch on. I'm not going to hit any of these subjects in great depth, but to try and give you an overview as we, you know, go down that road. First thing you need to kind of analyze is, how are you going to use your device? What do you use your computer for? And this is probably the most difficult question you're going to have to come up with an answer for, because it varies. You got light use, average use. You know, average use, now we're starting getting into streaming music and movies. Maybe working on Word documents or spreadsheets, excuse me. And of course, demanding use. Now we're talking more multitasking, sophisticated graphics, photo editing, video production, playing online games. All of these it's an important question because it's going to depend on the type of resources that you're going to want to purchase. Traditional laptops, devices, 2-in-1s. The traditional form factor, you got a traditional clamshell, just kind of, you lift the lid and that's your laptop. 2-in-1s combine the power of a laptop and a tablet, all in one portable device. They can be called convertible, hybrids. I think one of the most common ones is, say, Microsoft Surface. It's a kind of a tablet with with a keyboard. Operating systems: Mac, Windows, Linux, Chrome. And I did not go into, there's two others on that we could probably put on this list, and that's iOS for iPhones as well as Android for Android phones. You need to decide what it is you want. My experience has been, if you have an iPhone and you're in that area with all, you have iPhone apps, you're probably going to stick with a Mac. On the other hand, if you've been using Windows for the greater part of your computing existence, that's probably going to be where your comfort zone is. Decide whether you want a touch screen. Personally, I never got a lot of use out of a laptop with a touch screen. Now, part of that may be because I'm just too lazy to lift my arm up there and touch the screen, and I'd much rather use a mouse. But, each to his own. On the other hand, of course, smartphones, touchscreens are almost, you can't probably use one without it. Chromebooks, all I think pretty much standard, come with touchscreens. What kind of screen, what size of screen are you looking for? For some reason, the older I get, the larger the screen I want. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but on the other hand, a larger screen is also ideal for gaming, watching movies, photo and video editing. Gives you a lot more real estate in which to deal with. I don't know how any of you, I have this real aversion to texting. One, because I just don't like dealing with the small keyboards on mobile devices. A lot of different resolutions when it comes to your screen. Decide where to do a little bit of comparison shopping, because the larger the screen and the greater the resolution, the higher the price of that device. HD plus, probably pretty standard on most laptops today. Actually, full HD is, you'll see that on a lot out there. Now, when you start getting into Ultra HD, not so much. They're coming out with QHD and, of course, your Retina displays. Now, what you're going to find, I think, for most people, because I go to help people at their homes a lot, and they may have a full HD resolution, but it's not set on that resolution because it makes their icons too small and they don't like it. So kind of take a look at these, take a trip down to your local big box store, kind of see, what some of the examples are that they have currently on sale, and I help you make that decision. And I'm sure there's some websites out there that will allow you to test different resolutions out. Then we get into processors. I kind of like Intel's, but that's, again, becomes a personal choice. My advice to most people is, if you're going to go with an Intel processor, stay away from i3s. They're budget processors. And they're pretty much what comes on a lot of your lower end devices. And when I say lower end devices, I'm talking in the $350, $400 range when it comes to laptops. AMDs, everything I've read on them, they're excellent processors. In fact, they're getting ready. I just read an article here recently that they're getting ready to start putting AMD Ryzen processors in a lot of the newer Chromebooks. Really going to beef them up, and you'll end up seeing, I think, a lot higher speeds out of Chromebooks. And of course, Apple has their own chip. And then Pixel's coming out with their own chip. So, or Google's coming out with their own chip for their Pixel line of phones. There's some really good websites that you can go out there and type in the processor, and I'm going to go a little bit about processor numbering, and it will kind of tell you how many cores that processor has. It will compare its CPU speed. Bottom line, when you're buying a new device, it's all about speed. When we start talking about threads and cores, multi-threading, it allows the CPU to execute many tasks of a single process at the same time. Multi-cores it allows multiple processes to run at a single time. Probably a good rule of thumb, buy as many cores in your processor as you can afford. So if you want to find out what your current processor is, it's very easy to do. In Windows, you can just hit Control-Shift-Escape. It'll open up your task manager, and then select the Performance tab, and it'll show you how many cores and logical processors your PC has. So I did this one on this machine, and as you can see, it shows you the processor speed, how many processes we're currently running at that time. I'm running an i5 8400 CPU. I was trying to, oh, there it is, and 6 cores. So, here's the website. This is a great website. It's cpubenchmark.net. And it will allow you to, so while you're doing your shopping comparison, you can compare the specifications of different CPU processors. And I'm sure we've all heard the word RAM thrown around on more occasions. This is another topic of buy as much as you can afford. Random access memory, that's where everything gets ran. So when you click on Word, that process is getting opened up using your RAM memory. Right now, for when it comes to Windows, 4 gigabytes is probably the minimum that you even want to deal with. And so more is always better. If I was going to be buying a new Windows laptop to run Windows, I wouldn't even start looking at anything below 8 gigabytes of RAM. If I plan on using it for photo or video editing, I want a lot more. But it's not uncommon to be able to find some actually good pricing on laptops out there that come with 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's almost unheard of anymore. You used to be able to go buy a laptop and you could upgrade it. Getting to the RAM slots, some manufacturers make it easy, some make it almost impossible. It's like back in the good old days, you used to be able to change out a battery in a laptop. Not any longer. Almost not unheard of. Internal storage. That thing up there on the upper right-hand corner, that is a mechanical hard drive. I would recommend stay away from it. So if you're looking at, look at SSD drives. They're lighter, they're faster, they run cooler. They are more expensive per gigabyte. Just about anything you're going to buy today is going to come with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Figure out what kind of ports you're going to need. Now, when we talk about laptops, that's going to be somewhat limited. I think most laptops are coming with 2 or 3 USB ports. Different machines will have a display port along with HDMI. But kind of take a look at what you're going to want to hook up to your new device and purchase accordingly. Security. Let's see, the article I read yesterday is that Google, Microsoft, and Apple are all looking to going to getting rid of password requirements and going to fingerprint readers, facial recognition, two-factor authentication. So what do you need to go with it? Of course, there is a wide range of stuff. Docking stations, portable storage. In fact, I went over the other day, I was helping this lady set up. She had a laptop, didn't like working off the small screen. So she picked up a new monitor, wireless keyboard and mouse, and we set it up so that laptop now functions pretty much like a desktop. So pick a platform, whatever you decide you want to go with. If you're going with a laptop, decide if you want a 2-in-1 or just a standard clamshell laptop. Choose the right size for you. Not all keyboards are created equal. So go check out finger placement on different, and you don't have to do this on necessarily the laptop you're looking to buy, but try to look at it on different manufacturers. So if you're looking, you like Toshiba, kind of go see how their keyboards feel. If you're going with Microsoft, again, check them out, in the stores. And then pick your specs. Don't skimp on battery life. And brands do matter. And at most, read and compare reviews. I really highly recommend that you utilize YouTube. There's 2 research websites that I use pretty much religiously. One is YouTube, to just kind of get product reviews and see what other people are saying about products. And the other one is Reddit, and that's reddit.com. There's some great reviews up there, as well as if you have questions about a particular device you were planning on buying. Everybody I've come across has been extremely helpful. It is a social media site, but I wouldn't put it into the same category as I would Twitter, Facebook, or some of these others. This website, and here's the URL right here. Well, basically it's a survey. It'll take you through, ask you a bunch of questions about how you want to use this new device, and it will make recommendations of different models to look at. Laptop to desktop, as I just mentioned. This little device down here, most likely, this is probably going to be a good investment, and that's a USB hub. It allows you to just plug in use one USB outlet on your laptop, and then you can hook everything else up to that. Use tablets versus laptops. They're 6 of one, half dozen other. On the other hand, you can go with a tablet and pick up a USB keyboard and pretty much have the same, a lot of the same features. You can hook up a wireless mouse to a tablet without too much of a problem. So here's kind of a breakdown. It's using a processor. Speed matters. Buy as many cores as you can afford. Power consumption. I was talking a little bit about mechanical hard drives. They generate more heat. More heat equals more power consumption. Okay. And it will reduce your battery life compared to an SSD. Memory, 8 gigabytes or more. What ports and accessories do you plan on running? Hard drives, SSD, or an old hard disk drive? I prefer SSDs. Operating systems. Decide what it is you're comfortable with. And comfort is probably the #1 rule here. Optical drives. Most laptops that most of you have probably noticed do not come with an optical drive anymore. So if you like watching DVDs, or you want to use CDs or DVDs for storage, you will need to purchase an external drive. And of course, battery. That's my website. You're welcome to go there. Every week, I upload new articles that I come across. It's my email. If you have questions, you can always contact me. And we will open it up, and I will answer whatever questions I can for anybody that has it.
Good overview, Rob. Thank you very much.
No, it's, like I say, and I get the question a lot, especially in our particular age groups, because I think most people they'll be out shopping at Costco and they'll see this great deal, and actually it's probably not that great of a deal. So it is, I think, important to know what you're buying and be able to know how to do the research on it. So when you get it home, and I think we all know that laptops or computers, when you first bring them home, they just run great. But slowly over time, that greatness seems to go away. So I think it's important to know up front, what you're buying or what you could be buying.
Agreed. Tony Pizza, you've got a question?
I have a comment about the USB adapter. I have a laptop that just has one USB-C port. It's used for charging and it's used for everything else. So the adapter, if you have something like that, some of them come with a power pass-through where you plug your power adapter into the USB and then the USB into your laptop. Otherwise, it's going to just run off your battery. That's just a comment.
Yeah, no,
I don't know if you can see my picture. It depends if you're in the gallery mode or full screen mode, but I'm holding up a USB hub, if you will. And I know Huey's got one very similar. I've got 3 standard USB 3 ports, an HDMI port, an Ethernet port on the end, and it can also be used for power.
Yes, there's many versions of them. You can find anything you want on Amazon.
Yeah, I picked this up not too long ago, and I don't know how many. I'll try and see, but anyway, this is basically a docking station. All right, so it has multiple USB ports, and the nice thing about a docking station is that it only requires one plug-in to the laptop. And you can run video off of it, you can run printers off of it. And so if you want to use your laptop as your only computer, but yet you want to travel with it, but yet you kind of like the idea of having multiple monitors at home or whatever, it's a nice solution.
I bought a Dell 13-inch notebook about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago. And unfortunately, I didn't follow your advice, Rob. I wound up with a Core i3, but to keep the price down. But I immediately went to the Linux operating system. So even having a lower speed, lower throughput type of CPU, Linux demands are much less than Windows 10. And it's worked out fairly well for me. However, being a low price laptop and even from a major manufacturer, I had problems with the power adapter, which was a standard little round plug that went in. And after several months, it would stop charging the notebook, just simply plugging it in. I'd have to go through all kinds of acrobatics, turning it upside down and rotating it and wrapping the cable and doing other things before it would charge. And researching online from the Dell's tech site, I found this was a common problem with this whole series of laptops, which is their low end. So sometimes doing research on tech support sites before you actually buy something can give you a heads up of what to avoid. Now, had I known that and gone to the next higher series of models of notebooks, by that time they were all using USB-C power and nobody was having any problems with them. So in retrospect, that probably would have been the best thing for me to do. We have a member of our user group who's very, very accomplished with taking things apart and putting them back together again. And he helped me get a new power jack for it. We opened up the notebook and did surgery on it. That seems to be working. But I've already identified the replacement if that doesn't solve the problem eventually.
Well, you know what they say, Michael, you get what you pay for.
And I did.
No, I mean, if you're going to run Windows, I would really I wouldn't go any lower than an i5.
I agree with you.
It's just, I think it's going to make your life more pleasant. I can't count the number of times I've gone to people's homes and they're running an i3. They've just upgraded to Windows 11 and they want to know why their machine's running so slow. And, and it's a tough question to answer for them because I know they're not going to want to hear my answer. So yeah, it is, I think doing the research is important. Most of us would not think about going out and buying a new car without looking at reviews or doing a little bit of research ahead of time. Well, to me, I kind of apply the same thing to, tech. So.
Tom Hirsch?
Hi, thanks for that presentation. I have a couple of one observation and a question regarding processors. In regards to battery life, a number of computer manufacturers do make a standard size battery and then a larger size battery. And in many cases, the larger size battery actually extends beyond the case of the laptop. So it might or might not fit in your laptop case, but carry case if you use a larger battery. But I found that the larger batteries are very helpful if you have long duration usages of your computer when you're going to be away from AC power. The question I have is about processors. That some of the things I've read have indicated that AMD has actually leapfrogged Intel in the performance in some performance categories for processors. However, I've also heard that AMD processors run hot, and especially in a laptop scenario where your cooling may not be as good as it could be in a desktop if there's a risk of AMD processors overheating, which would lead to a major failure. And I'm wondering if the laptop manufacturers such as Dell or HP, which make the business class such as the ProBook, EliteBook, Precision, etc., if those manufacturers are making the high-end business laptops with the AMD processors.
I haven't really looked into it, no, but I would concur exactly what you're saying is that AMD is, I would say, depending on the processor that, from AMD, there's not a huge lot of difference. I mean, they're both, whether you go with Intel or AMD, I think you're going to be getting a good product. On the other hand, I guess I have been using Intel for so long. It's just, I'm not sure why I would, there's nothing out there that makes me want to change, and I don't think there's that huge price difference. For some reason, if I could save a couple $100 by using AMD, that might make me do a little bit a closer look. But again, you bring up heat. Heat's a big one. Because it will suck up battery life. Now, I haven't seen a laptop lately that you could actually change a battery in anymore. A lot of them that I think you're going to purchase today, the battery's hardwired to the actual motherboard of the laptop, and there is no swapping.
Yeah, when I opened up to change out the power jack, again, Huey had mentioned in the previous session YouTube, and we actually found a YouTube video showing how to open it up, and they do have you remove the battery by unplugging the cable, but
right,
it's part of that major surgery. What was interesting to me is the form factor of the batteries have had a major technology shift. They're using,
they have.
It's called planar battery, planar core, something like very extremely thin, and spread out across the entire width on top of all the components. and you could take a little stylus and then actually unplug it before you get to the components underneath. So technically speaking, it's user replaceable, but it's not the kind of thing the average person wants to do.
No, and
especially if you're in warranty.
and let's face it. I mean, mobile computing devices are getting to be so cost effective. I mean, it's not the way it was years ago where you're spending a couple grand, on these things. I mean, you can $500-600, especially on Black Friday sales. You can just walk away with a really nice device. It'll probably last you 3 or 4 or 5 years, however long you want to keep it. And by that time, it'll be time to go up to the next level.
One thing I'll ask you to comment on, I have my own experience, so perhaps
Sure.
you'll make it a dialogue, but okay, so you go to Costco or you go to Best Buy or you shop on Amazon, you find the device, whether it's a TV or it's a computer, and now comes the time, do you buy the extended warranty? What are your thoughts on that?
I can't remember the last time I bought an extended warranty. And I think the last time I did, I regretted it. And I guess when it comes to computing devices, I don't want to have to send my computer somewhere. And to me, that's a big part of it, but then again, I don't end up spending a lot of money on I think the one I'm running now, it was kind of a home project that I built here from scratch. So I'm just not big on extended warranties. I mean, they're they kind of fall in that category of warranties for your home. I never have had a good feeling that I got my money's worth out of it.
Okay. Tony,
Yeah.
did you have a comment on that?
No, just Bob G had very good luck buying a refurbished computer from a manufacturer, I think Dell. What's your opinion on that?
I think it's a risk, and I think it depends. I think you have to look at the difference in cost of a refurbished vice, just getting a brand new one, because some of the ones I've seen have not been that big of a cost difference, so an extra $100, extra 150, I get a brand new one. That for me is a no-brainer, but I think it kind of just depends on. And also I've read some articles out there that depending on, some people are marking devices as refurbished or factory refurbished that are nowhere near factory refurbished. It's just someone kind of took a vacuum cleaner to it and got the dust out of it. So, I mean, I think there's that risk too.
Thank you.
You bet.
Any other comments? Back to you, Stan. You're still with us?
Yes, I'm here. Well, thank you.
There's a couple
Rob.
of you.
It was quite interesting, informative. I appreciate you taking the time.
Not a
and
problem, guys. I hope you got something out of it. If I can be of any further help, let me know.
Will do.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right, and to all of you, thanks for coming. Stay safe. Happy Mother's Day. If you're still lucky enough to have yours, enjoy it. And if not, you probably have some kids and grandkids, whatever. We'll be joining ours. So we'll see you next time. Stay safe, and thanks for attending.